right, welcome to the Hitmakers podcast. I am Ben Johnson, the biggest Ben. This is Whitney Phillips. That's the first time I've done that.
It is.
It felt kind of weird. I don't know if I'll ever do that again. You know what? I got a little cocky.
No, I love
I'm gonna take it back.
That's the energy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and today we are so excited to have Jay Hart on the podcast with us.
Yeah.
I've got a little bio for you here. So Jay Hart is the lyrical and melodic mastermind behind some of pop and R&B's biggest moments, from co-writing hits for Justin Bieber, Camila Cabello, and Keith Urban to penning smashes for Usher and Troye Sivan. And did I mention Cher? Jay Hart brings heart and hooks to everything he touches. Known for his vulnerability, vocal chops, and songwriting versatility, he's not just behind the scenes. He's shaping the sounds of artists' careers. Born in England, raised in Atlanta, this transcontinental tastemaker cannot be put into a box. And today we are going to learn about how James John Eberhart Jr. got to where he is, where he's heading, and hear all about his journey, outfits, and experience on Hitmakers.
First of all, phenomenal job.
Thank you.
That was, I'm glad that I hadn't pre-heard that because I reacted to it in real time.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, honestly, so excited to have you on here.
So excited.
We actually, I think one thing that kind of didn't come across on the show just because of the narrative of it is that we go way back.
We do.
And you and Whit go way back.
We do.
And when I went on the show, the only people I knew coming into the show was Whitney and you.
Yeah.
And when you came on the show in Nashville, I was so excited, even though, of course, the little clip they used was Jay Hart's going to ruin everything.
I know.
Which I facetiously said.
They had to.
I was so excited when you came on the show in Nashville just because I was like, you're actually somebody that I go back with and have written a lot of great songs with. So really excited that you're on the podcast today. We're going to go take a dive into your background, where you're from, the lore of Jay Hart, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your time on the show as well.
The many countries and territories you have stopped in along the way.
The iterations, darling. The iterations.
Yes. So take us back to, I guess we should start in jolly old England.
Yep.
That's where you were born. So break that down for everybody.
I was a wee lad on the streets of London, just trying to survive. So I was born in London, grew up in, technically Essex.
Okay.
So I was like very Cockney as a kid. I was like full you are right.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Yeah, Essex is like very like Adele. You know, like Adele's accent?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. But I would say think more like spray tans, very orange vibes.
What would you equate it to here in the U.S.?
No.
I would say sort of like Beverly Hills meets Jersey Shore.
Okay.
Kind of like a good little, like if there was a fusion there. So
Okay.
Essex
So
doesn't
the
get the best
valley.
rap, I would say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we love it. It's part of the lore.
Okay.
And I often think like if I had stayed there, if I would be full just orange and just like even brighter veneers than I already have.
Got it. I would have liked to see that.
I would have loved to have seen that,
Aw.
like in an alternate universe.
Bummer.
So like
Okay.
what, are both of your parents British then, or?
Yeah, so I'm a dual citizen, and then both of my parents are full Brit. So me and my 3 siblings are all dual citizens.
Okay.
And,
Let's talk about your siblings.
Yeah.
Sisters, brothers.
Yeah, so I'm the oldest of 4, which I'm sure you probably got like an older energy, like a more established kind of older vibe.
Well, you're my baby.
But
so-
also eternal sort of youthful vibe as well. But I have 3 siblings, so it's me, my sister Sam, who's in fashion,
Right. Yeah.
my brother who's in finance,
Okay.
and because we needed one of those.
Yeah. You gotta have one.
And my little sister, who she's just like a darling Sagittarius soccer coach.
Soccer good.
Yeah, she coaches
Oh.
kids how to play soccer.
that's
I should
really
say
that is
football.
adorable.
I
That's
should say
actually
football.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really
I
cute.
didn't
She's
realize
like
that.
the heart of the family, I would
Wow.
say. She's like
And is she still in England then?
no, she's actually in Sherman Oaks. She lives
okay.
in my old house in Sherman
Oh,
Oaks.
that's sick.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
So I read that you were in like a skiing accident when you were 6.
Yes, that's true.
And that's how you kind of got into music. Is that true?
Yeah. The skiing accident really just solidified it because I couldn't walk for a while. I was on crutches. And so I had to kind of give up all sports for a while. And then when we moved to the States, I kind of became like music became like an outlet for feeling really homesick. So I think it was a combination of both of those things, like not being able to, I still like don't have like this leg is still a little funky from that.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
You'd never know it, but
So when you moved to America, was that a big, I guess, culture shock for you? Was that
Huge.
hard? I mean, it seems like that'd be a hard transition.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved?
11.
Okay.
And
Oh,
it was
11.
yeah, 11. It was very traumatic. Yeah, it
Mm.
was. And
Tell
I
us about
think I
that.
didn't realize until I was an adult and I had like started doing therapy and things like that, just how traumatizing it was. Cause I'm definitely one of those people that will like kind of whitewash when things are really hard for me. Like I'll, even with high school or like being bullied or stuff, I would always like say, oh, it wasn't that bad, you know? And I think I said the same thing about moving to the States. But then when I looked back on it and really started to unpack it, I was like, that was really fucking hard for me.
Mm.
Like it was going from England straight into like Christian school in the South at 11 years old
Wow.
was, especially while I was sort of, you know, developing and started realizing like, oh, maybe I like men. Maybe this is, it was just a weird thing to have that culture shock be in the midst of all of that at that
Sure.
age. Like it was
Junior
hard.
high, right?
Yeah,
pretty much?
yeah, 5th grade.
Yeah. How do you decide if you want to stick with the accent or get rid of it? You know, is that a choice you made?
I think at that age it was because I would just get asked to say shit all day long and people would be like, yeah, you're going to go put some shrimp on the barbie. And I'd be like, that's Australian, first of all.
Yeah.
Right.
But
right.
yeah, it was like relentless. Kids would
Wow.
just go ham. And so I think I developed an American accent in like 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Let's fast forward a little bit. So you finish high school. You, at that point, do you know you want to get into music? You want to be a singer?
Ish. Like I had actually gotten a full ride to university for film at the time because I made movies with my cousin and my cousin was British and he was my best friend in junior high and high school. And so we used to make these movies together and I sang and did music as well, but it was like the hobby and film was the thing that I thought I was going to pursue.
Wow.
Wow.
So I went to school for 2 years for film. And then during that 2 years, I was like, nah, this isn't it. I need to like make music is my thing.
So when you say
Yeah.
film, was that acting or was that creating like director?
Making movies.
Wow,
Yeah.
so that was,
like
that's cool because that
editing
kind of gives
and-
a insight to your brain of like, you've always been a little bit like big picture. You're like, not just the out front person. You're like, I want to know
Yes.
how all the, you know, behind the scenes stuff
I
works.
like
Yeah.
making things and
Yeah.
then presenting them. It's also why I love cooking. It's like the same, it's like the same joy I get of like delivering a finished product and watching someone enjoy it,
Yeah.
which I think very makes sense with writing as well.
100%. Yeah. We had some popcorn at your house last night. It was amazing.
Made it myself.
Yeah.
Really good.
When was the
I
first
didn't.
moment where you realized you could sing?
Well, I was in the shower I'm kidding. I actually have no idea. I don't remember. I think I always believed that I was better than I was.
Okay.
Because I think like as a kid, I asked my parents one year, I begged my parents one year to book me a recording studio for my birthday. And I like, I'm going to date myself here, but I was going through the yellow pages and I found a studio that had like, I think a coupon for studio time or something like that. It was a good deal.
Uh-huh.
And so I called them and then I asked them and I made my parents, I was like, please, 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 for my birthday present, like book it for me. And so that was probably, I have this CD of like the first time I ever recorded cover songs. I think I recorded like Mariah Carey and a couple of songs,
Of course.
of course,
Yes.
we love, by
Who
the way,
else?
I'm a big lamb. And I listened back to that record, like, and I'm like, oh God, I really wasn't that good. But I was in my head, I was like, you know, Whitney. I
Yeah.
was like, I was
Whitney
amazing.
Phillips.
Little.
Yeah, Whitney
and you
Phillips.
mean Whitney Phillips, I believe.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a healthy delusion. That's what
Yeah.
we call that in
Yeah.
our world.
I
you
have
know?
less delusion now, I would say, than I did as a kid. As
For
a
sure.
kid, I was like,
But
I'm
that's
amazing.
what
Yeah.
that's what gets you going. Like, I
Yeah.
just think you would quit so fast. We all would.
For sure.
Yeah.
If we didn't have that little bit of healthy.
No,
You
we've
got to have a little bit of that.
healthy
you do.
ego, healthy delusion. There's
Yeah.
limits to it, but
It's a fine line.
It's fuel.
Yeah, of
but
course.
it's good to be there.
Exactly.
course.
Exactly.
So you're in Atlanta. So you decide to get out of film school and
Yeah.
then you moved to Atlanta to pursue music.
Yeah, so I was in Savannah for a year, then I was in Atlanta for a year in film school.
Okay.
And then I dropped out, much to my dad's chagrin. I think
Right.
that's how you use that word.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I started living at home and they didn't love that.
No.
And I took an internship that I found through like friend of friend of friend of friend. And I started working at this recording studio in Atlanta and was just like the bitch, basically, like the studio bitch, like took trash out, took food orders. And it was this producer, Polo de Don, who did like a bunch of hits in the early to late 2000s, like
Yep.
London Bridge. He did like Glamorous for Fergie. He
Wow.
did like Buttons for Pussycat Dolls, like
Mhm.
pristine era of Atlanta, like
Oh, yeah.
creation of music. And so it was such a cool learning experience being around him. And you get that character development of like
Yes.
working and not having the luxury of having an ego. And it really teaches you a lot about like how to maneuver, and I got to see the behind the scenes like politics and things like that, which was just a blessing.
For sure. I think at the like not far behind you, Chi was interning for Grand Hustle, like in Atlanta.
Shut up.
Yeah,
That
so I
was so
think-
close to my studio. That Grand Hustle was like down the street.
That's interesting though. Did you, because Seven, Harv,
Tommy.
Chi, yeah, that's right. Tommy, Chi, and Blue were all based in Atlanta at some
God.
point. Were you
It's so
aware
wild.
of them when you were there?
No, I wasn't. I met Tommy here in LA and we talked about Atlanta, being from Atlanta, and had like obviously bonded on that. But no, I had never met, I may have met them and just didn't know it at the time. But that time period is such a blur because I feel like I was such a different person at that time period. So
Sure.
yeah, it was just crazy. I don't remember much.
Yeah. What did you learn from Atlanta? From being
I mean,
there?
I'm so happy I grew up there. Like culturally, musically, the gift that Atlanta has given me, especially for like R&B, and like, you know, my first like mentor / one of my really good friends in Atlanta was T-Boz from TLC. So I got to,
That's incredible.
I know, how cool is that?
What?
She lived down the street from me and she would
Stop.
come over
No.
and we would like write together. And
What do you mean? Just casually come over and write with T-Boz?
yeah, so my first manager introduced me to her, and I found out that she lived like 10 minutes away from me.
Was
That
she
is
already?
iconic.
Yeah, oh yeah. She
Yeah.
was full, had TLC, like this was like 2007, 8.
Oh my.
My dad
we
would
love
just
them
be
anyway.
like, this is so weird. Like, what is happening? Because I had this little room in the basement that I had like made into a
Little
makeshift studio.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is absolutely iconic.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like that could be a big break. But I guess what I want to know next is, what was kind of your moment where you're like, this changed everything from going from I'm trying to do this to, whoa, I can do this.
I left the internship because actually Polo tried to sign me as an artist because someone sent him my MySpace page. And so he
Wow.
tried to sign me as an artist, but I wasn't ready for that. I was like very in the closet. I was just, a different person. Left that internship, met a guy by the name of Ray Daniels who manages Rock City. And Ray and Teron Thomas got me my first ever publishing deal.
Wow.
And then I just sent Mike Karen like a cold email with just like 3 songs in it. And he started flying me out to LA to write for like Cody
Wow.
Simpson and
Yes.
eventually Bieber.
That was a big moment. I think sounds like that email.
Yeah, that email was a big moment.
When
I
you
would
sent
say.
the email, did you were you pitching yourself as an artist or were you pitching yourself as a songwriter?
A writer
Okay.
at that time. I didn't want to do artistry at that time.
Why?
Because I knew that there was a lot of stuff internally that I had to sort out. And I
Yeah.
think the idea of being in front of people,
Yeah.
I knew that they would like see through it. And
For sure. We've talked about that a little bit of like, you have to believe yourself to be a performer.
Totally.
And if you don't, it translates, get off the stage.
You got to
Like,
be able to talk your shit or
Yeah.
people don't buy it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, even back then, I think I was aware that I had a long journey ahead of me in terms of like personal development and stuff.
Right. So
Yeah.
what was your first cut that kind of got you moved to LA, right? So you sent this email.
Yep.
Mike starts flying you out. Is there a song that occurs while you're here on a writing trip?
Yeah. So I did this song for Jason Derulo that was like a Coke. Jason Derulo, he did it with Coke, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so my first publisher got me in with Jason Derulo, and then Mike had me writing for Jason, Winter Gordon at the time, Cody Simpson, and then eventually Bieber.
Bieber. What was
Got it.
Mike's connection to Bieber?
He was friends with Scooter
Oh, got it.
and put a writing camp on for the Believe album, which was the earlier Bieber album, like before Purpose.
Yeah.
I don't
and-
think you have to explain to people
Y'all
the
know.
order of
Yeah,
Bieber
yeah.
albums.
Y'all know. Y'all get
Yeah. Fully.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Amazing.
amazing. So would you say like one of these Bieber songs was
Yeah.
that's the moment?
I would say this song I wrote for Bieber called Take You was probably the first time where I was like, oh, this is like a big moment. Like culturally, people are eating this album up, and he performed it on the one of the Billboard Music Awards or something. And it was like my first taste of like having that moment where people start calling, and then and all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, this is like an interesting dynamic. People are like,
yeah, I mean, I can imagine getting a cut like that early on in your career also fuels you with a lot of confidence and probably affirms and validates what you're doing to keep going.
you know, you would think so,
Oh,
but I was really, really not a confident person for a long time.
oh,
And I think that it was something that, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it had to do with, again, like the gay thing and just being comfortable. And
sure.
but yeah, it wasn't actually.
So is it like an imposter syndrome when you
Very
got that
much
cut? Where you're
so.
like, how did this happen? This was a fluke.
Huge imposter syndrome.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
Wow.
it's one of those things where looking back on it, I realized how hard it was. Cause at the time I was kind of just like, oh, this is the way it is or whatever. But yeah, I would fully like shut down in a lot of rooms for a long time, I think, until I was more comfortable with myself.
Yes, self-development is super important when it comes to translating into being a good writer. And I think that we, especially when we're first starting out, underestimate the value of just working on yourself and how that could spill over to the things that you literally say that become lyrics. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like there's a lot of creatives that will identify with that.
Yeah.
They're getting their first big placements and feeling like I don't deserve this, or it was an accident, or I'm not as big as this moment. You know what I mean? So
all of that.
Yeah.
And you're like running off of just raw talent. You know, I remember like just going into rooms and just singing like melodies and things like that, but not being really in touch with myself enough to know where it really comes from and like how to get to the well and like really be able to share things that feel real to people.
Was there a song or a moment, I guess, where you got a cut and you said, I deserve this and I'm here?
There were definitely more recently, I would say, in the last like 5 years, but I definitely think there are moments where I felt like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like when you write something that is real, that also resonates with people.
Well, you've been very vocal about Hoffman. I see you post about it. Faraz has spoken about it as well. Tell me about Hoffman and what that did for you as a man, as a creative.
Hoffman was such a gift, and Sarah Hudson told me about it because she had been, and I think Katy Perry got her to go. Like Katy went, told their whole friend group about it, got them all to go. And then Sarah was the one that told me about it. And I had already been in therapy, I think, for like 5 years at that point. So I had been doing sort of work with a therapist, but like, yeah, Hoffman was just such a unique, it was unlike anything I'd ever done before that point. And just like a week long, no phones, no technology, which is big for me. I think I'm something I really struggle with, being in the device as a means to kind of check out. It was just amazing. Honestly, I got so much out of it.
Wow.
Didn't you go during the pandemic? And didn't you come, right? You told me you came out and you weren't aware that what was happening in the world.
I had the craziest Hoffman experience in that I went into it before the world shut down, and then the world shut down during the week that I was there.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was insane. Like our class was like, we went through this huge transformation, and then I think we were all just kind of like traumatized by the whole COVID experience because they told us on the last day, and you go through this whole thing, this whole week of like bonding with these strangers that you don't know.
Like aren't allowed to look at your phone.
No, you don't. You can't see your phone. You can't see the technology. And then the last day they sat us down and they were like, okay, now don't freak out, but we have to tell you, some things. Like the world has changed a lot during this week.
Oh my God.
The world
crazy.
is potentially over, but y'all will handle it really well. You'll be able to cope.
But you get out of Hoffman, which is isolation in and of itself. And then you throw yourself in a quarantine.
Straight into quarantine.
Wild. But maybe that's better because you had time to sit with your thoughts and process what you just went through.
That's how I see it, for sure. I'll get rid of the bag.
Yeah, we can't. They're not one of our jobs.
Again, shout out to Chipotle. This is giving chicken, rice,
all right,
black beans.
The boys have their food. We have bowls of chicken.
All is right with the world.
Yeah, the boys got to eat.
Something I noticed watching through the show is that I'm constantly eating.
Really?
Every time I'm on camera, and I look like a camel.
But it's so funny. I've never noticed that, but I'll look out for it now.
If you played a drinking game that is associated with while I'm eating, you do like drink something, you would be drunk very quickly. Before episode 2, I would say.
Don't give me any ideas.
I feel like more than almost any other LA writer I know, you write like you're from Nashville.
Ooh.
I love that. That's a huge compliment.
Why do you
Thank
say that, Ben?
You know, it's funny. The first time we worked was out here.
That's
Jay
right.
actually wrote the first single for my band.
That's right.
Track
Yeah.
45?
And you were-
That
I
was the
don't-
first time we wrote, though, was it?
That was the first time we wrote. And I don't know if you know this, you were my first write I ever had in LA.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Wow. I
Maybe
did
the
not know
second.
that.
It's getting cuter.
It was very, very early. Very, very early. And yeah, I just remember when I wrote with you, I was like, oh wow, this feels like I'm writing in Nashville, because he can write concept, he can write lyric,
Yes.
he can write melody. And I know that obviously you have country number one with Keith Urban, but like,
Yep.
is that something that you grew into from working in Nashville, or is that something that was just always natural to you to kind of have that process?
Well, I think that was, again, part of the gift of growing up in Atlanta was that a lot of the people I went to school with were really into country music. And so, you know, I went to a sort of like a lot of lifted trucks. It was like giving that kind of thing, and a lot of country fans. And so I kind of grew up listening to Keith and Rascal Flatts and Tim McGraw and fucking like, I mean, just all the legends like Reba and Brooks and Dunn and Lone Star. And like some of those 90s to early 2000s country pop songs are still to this day. Like I will hang my hat on that. They are just so iconic and legendary, and taught me a lot about, I don't know, the power of like an emotional, well-written song where like not a single word is out of place, and they don't have to
Sure.
sacrifice the melody for the lyric or vice versa. It's like, I just became obsessed with this idea of the perfect song where you feel like no part of it had to be sacrificed for the other.
Wow.
And I
That's
feel like
so
there was a
cool.
lot of songs during that era in the country scene
Yeah.
that I did that I then like referenced as songs that like I loved when I was writing with other people.
Yeah. Well, one of your biggest songs is a country record, Keith Urban, Wasted
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
tell us
huge.
a quick story on that, because I don't know the story of how that song came to be.
Okay.
I would love to know.
Yeah. So basically, I was working with Greg Wells on an earlier iteration of my artist project.
Little fun fact, I first met Jay Hart at a Greg Wells writing camp in France at
That's
the
right.
castle. That's
That's
in
right.
2015?
Yeah, it had to be 15, 16.
You, me, Faraz.
Pre-beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, yeah.
So yeah, that was, I think, right around that same time.
Yeah.
And Greg and I had been working for a couple months at that point, and he just said, I got an email from Keith's team. They want to write on one of the days that you and I are supposed to be together. What do you feel? Like, do you want to do this? Should we do it? And I had already been a massive fan of Keith Urban. Like that 2006 Long Hot Summer
Yes.
was my fucking jam.
Yes.
And I would just blast that shit in the car like the whole summer after I graduated high school. And so I was like, yes, 1000%, I want to do it. Let's do it. And Keith was just the best version of that. Like when they say don't meet your heroes, they're not talking about
Not
Keith
talking
Urban.
about Keith.
Yeah. He's
At all.
delightful.
Because he is just the most gracious, the sweetest, just best collaborator to
Oh, yeah.
work with. And even after the song came out, he would like I went to the show at one point and with my family, and he like shouted me out from the stage. I mean, he's just the ideal. It taught me a lot about values in Nashville and
Yes.
why their ecosystem is more writer friendly than ours is. And it was just an amazing experience. And I got to meet Nicole Kidman, which was
There you
incredible.
go. No, it's really impressive. I mean, for a man that's married to the most famous actress, debatably like alive, like Nicole
Yeah.
Kidman, for being one of the hugest country artists, he is such a human, and he's such a writer first, you know.
Yeah.
And he'll be the first to be like, let's hop on a group text and
Totally.
let's grab tacos in the session, and he's
Very,
very,
very humble.
approachable.
Very
Yeah.
Super humble.
Yeah.
Because not
And he-
everyone's like that, so it's really a great moment.
So
Yeah.
funny because I was overthinking a couple of the lyrics, as you do.
Mhm.
And I sent him this text and I was like, I don't know about this line. Like, I'm just not sure about it, because it was the Four Locos line. There's a
Okay,
line in
yeah.
the song about Four Locos.
Okay, yeah.
And I was kind of like being like, I don't know about this. Like, that just feels like if it's too much, I don't know. And he was like, it is what it is. The song's amazing. It's perfect. Don't overthink it,
Well, that's amazing.
which is
Amazing.
rare for someone to be that.
It's also kind of rare for him.
For
too.
him, but yeah, I was like, okay, all right, fine. I trust.
That's amazing. Whitney asked me this yesterday. I was going to say, do you have any advice to people who want to write cross genre. So people maybe from LA who want to write in Nashville, and then maybe the same vice versa?
I do. My advice would be well researched before you go into the rooms. Respect the world that you are walking into, and bring what you do inherently into that room. I think like that's the thing, is like I always respected the world of country music and respected the Nashville scene and knew what I was walking into and knew what they had written and wanted to be respectful of their process. But at the same time, I knew that I was bringing something uniquely me into those rooms, and that like I couldn't forfeit that because of the room that I was walking into.
Absolutely.
So that would be my advice.
That's
That
great
is
advice.
really well said. To stay a student, but also know all the ways in which you can lead and where your value lies in new rooms and new genres. I think that's key.
100%.
Okay, so you get a call for Hitmakers. Describe to me your initial reactions and
how
just
did you
the
end up on the
process
show?
of getting to where we're at.
So I screen tested like, I don't know, 2016, 17 maybe.
Yep.
And there was a group of us that screen tested together. You were part of the group.
Yep.
Trey was part of the group. And yeah, and Harvey Mason wasn't attached yet to the project. It was just done and done. And then it kind of like didn't hear anything for a few years. And I had kept in touch with Skylar a little bit, who's one of the producers. He came to like a Halloween party of mine one year. And then randomly during COVID, I think it was, right? That they reached out again and was like, hey, we're doing this. Harvey's team is attached. Come and screen test again at Harvey's studio.
Yeah.
And so then it was like round 2.
So what were your initial thoughts? Were you anxious? Were you excited? Were you ready?
By the second time, I felt a lot more evolved, I think, and like self-assured. And yeah, I think I turned up with my little dog purse and they loved that. I brought my little dog purse in and sat it down next to me.
As one does.
As one does. It's a really cute purse. Tom Brown, look it up. It's gorgeous. But yeah, at that point, I was just kind of like, well, this sounds like a fun... That's how I felt about this the whole time. I was like, this is a fun thing to be able to tell your kids, or to be able to look back on one day, or to just even as like the kid version of me would be so like ecstatic to know this. Cause I tried to get my family to do a reality show when I was like 13. And my mom was like, absolutely not. We're not doing that show.
Right.
That was the director in you.
Yeah, it was. I was
wild.
like, you guys don't get the vision.
I was gonna say, like, coming from the film mind that you had when you were younger, was this like an exciting opportunity? Like,
Totally.
feel a little full circle, maybe?
Just different worlds and doing things that we don't get to do. And what use is this kind of platform where you get to work with high profile people? And if you're not using it to sort of try other things and push yourself creatively. And I knew it was a risk because I know how the music industry can be, but I also was just kind of like, well, it's my life.
Yeah.
And life is short. And you've got to fucking say yes to the thing and just try things.
What do you mean by how the music industry can be?
Well, we all know, and if you don't, I mean, you should.
Well, there may be people that are just entering the music industry, or I don't know. Your experience is very valuable.
It's a fiercely competitive industry, and a lot of us are very self-critical, and the way sometimes that projects outwardly as well. And people love to be haters, and it's kind of funny to be a hater sometimes if you're especially about other people's work or whatever. It's just that is the way it is in this business. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything that's not true, am I?
No.
And so, I just knew that going into it, and that's why it was important to me that the creative team was right behind it, which is why I was happy when I had heard that Harvey had joined the production team.
Yeah. It felt a little different on the second round. And I also feel like we were all in a different place. Like the first round of it, which was, 7 years ago, I think everything felt more precious. Mm-hmm. Our reputations, our catalogs, everything was just, we had a lot more to prove, I think. And by the time it came around for the second round, I think there was a ease about our own careers. And it was after the pandemic as well. So I think we were all were like, let's just take the risk.
And it's funny too. I think you texted me. I remember you texted me right before production started. And we hadn't signed the contracts yet.
Okay.
And like I said, you were really one of the only people I knew. And you were like, hey, are you doing this? And I was like, are you doing this?
Yeah.
And you're like, I have a contract. Do you have a contract? I was like, I have a contract. Are you signing it? You know, we were
I was
kinda,
on the fence.
I know,
I'm
I
not
was
going to
too.
lie.
I
I was
think we
very on the
all-
fence.
We had no idea what we were getting into,
Yes.
to be honest. And so, anyway, it was funny. I just remember kind of texting back and forth with you. But, you know, and I was looking forward to knowing you on the show as well as Whitney, because I really didn't know anyone else.
Yeah.
And then I show up in Bahamas and you're not freaking there.
I know.
So can you take us behind that? I mean, I have a kind of a narrative in my head of what I think it was, but you can enlighten.
Well, I will say, because I was so on the fence, I wasn't quick to sort of respond or sign contracts, or I was very kind of like, well, if they want me, they'll wait until I'm ready to figure out if I want to do this or not. And I think that, like, again, I was nervous about, because I had spoken to friends who had done TV before, and I knew the advice that I got from a really good friend of mine is like, the show that they pitch you is never the show that ends up getting made.
Wow,
You just have to know to what degree that's going to be. And I obviously trusted the people that were involved, but also, like, at the end of the day, I'm looking out for me more than anyone else is. And
Sure.
so I knew that as well. And again, I'm happy with the show that we made. I'm like very proud of how I was able to show up in it, but I knew all those things going into it. And I thought there was definitely some reluctancy. And so, yeah, they called me in for us separately. And they were like, hey, just a heads up, you guys are going to come in later. It's going to be sort of, you know, a bombshell at enters the villa moment where we bring you in for the second camp, which is going to be in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we both reacted to that in our own ways. The only power position to take in these types of things is just to be like, cool, it is what it is. What am I going to do? Like, kick and stomp my feet?
sure.
I didn't know what that was going to mean for the shooting schedule, but I knew that was their decision. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think on some level, there's like just relinquishing of control of like, okay,
Well,
you know
that's
what,
it.
whatever's meant to be, I have to trust that
Release.
it's happening the way it's supposed to
Yes.
happen. And in a way, I think you guys coming in with your own spotlight actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I'm,
If
I'm
anything, I
very
think-
happy
yeah,
with
I
how it
think
turned out.
It highlighted you guys in a different way. It brought attention to you guys versus, and especially in Nashville, it kind of, I don't know, drove that narrative of like fish
Yep.
out of water a little
Totally,
bit,
and
which
they
was
knew that.
interesting
They
to
knew that.
watch.
Yeah.
It was, and I knew also that I would get the tea
Yeah.
from the other cast members. I was like, okay, y'all go to Bahamas and then let me know what's up.
And then you kind of know
Yeah.
what you're walking into a bit more.
Yes.
Actually, that's a good point. I
So
didn't think about that.
let's shoot to Nashville
Yeah.
because your first session was with me and Ben
Yep.
and Harv, and it was My Side of Midnight and Say It Ain't So.
Yep.
Talk to me, which I think you crushed, by the way.
Mhm.
But
Thanks.
sitting
We
there,
crushed it.
your first session with these cameras on you, we've already have Bahamas under our belt. What are you feeling? Are you nervous?
God, I was so terrified. And I think I did a good job of not fully showing that, but it is such a unique experience, which I said in my Instagram post, that if you don't know, if you've never been through that, of like what it kind of feels like to have cameras pointing at you and just being like intellectualizing authenticity
Mm.
and like catching yourself in real time, like trying to be yourself. And like, there's this thing that happens where you're like stiff for a second and then you're like, and then eventually you kind of like, you know, loosen up.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting having that mirror because it's like, you can't hide from it and
Right.
you're mic'd up the whole day.
Sure.
Yeah, man, you can't pee or nothing. I mean,
No.
it's hard.
We
Yeah.
talk about how we can just notice the show like catching its footing and trying to figure out what the show is and
Yep.
like just laying the tracks down for the show. And I think it started to take a turn in Nashville for the better. And I think people were starting to break through that discomfort and like really settle into themselves and
Yeah.
find their own authenticity on the show.
Mhm.
I think one of the things when I think about you specifically, one of the things that I believe really helped you on the show was how prepared you were when you came in. So for Shabuzi, you had watched videos, you had watched interviews, you were
Yep.
fully prepped on his headspace, which I think was like a huge benefit to you in those sessions.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. And like going back to what I was saying before about how historically, before I knew myself, I had the propensity to kind of shut down in sessions. I did know that that's still alive in me, even though it's less likely now because I've been working on myself for so long. It's still there. I still have that thing where if I don't feel comfortable, I will kind of like close up. So I did a lot of work beforehand with my therapist doing visualizations and things like that. And then I, on the plane, did a lot of research on Shabuzi and stuff. And I just wanted to put myself in the best position to be able to be myself on camera and not be, freaking out.
Yeah.
Right. And you were, your first day was with people you knew.
I'm so happy about that, by the way.
Yeah.
Y'all made that first day so much easier on me. So thank you so much for being.
What a great day. That was so fun. I do remember, you were so prepared. You had listened to the interviews. I also remember you pitched Tarantino in our session.
That's right. I did.
And I think I shot it down. But I'm so glad I did because I could not have written it. I didn't know. I couldn't wrap my mind around how to do it.
Yeah.
And the setup was so perfect the way y'all did it. My Life is Like a Movie.
Yeah.
That was,
Nova,
so
I think that was the right room for that idea.
It's the right room, and that's a good lesson to people.
Totally.
It's like, hey, you're going to throw out an idea sometime, and it might not be the right for that room that day.
100%.
And you just got to find the right setup for it.
I love that the show showcased that.
It
They did a good job of showing the ins and outs of what the writing rooms are like. And that even, you even just naming that I threw it out in that day, I don't think that was in the edit, but it is just cool that's one thing that I'm really proud about the show is that I like that they showed how it works creatively in those rooms.
Yeah.
And at writing camp specifically, because
Sure.
you are with some people that you've never worked with before.
Right.
And you have to navigate egos and ideas and creative styles and things like that. So
Right.
100%.
Was there a moment where you felt like you were catching your stride on the show where you could kind of take an exhale and be like, okay, I can do this?
honestly, day one helped a lot because we got 2 good songs. And I think from that point on, I was kind of like, okay, all right, I feel better about it now. But there was no moment where the tides turned or anything like that. I felt pretty good going into it. And I think that is attributed to the fact that I over prepared and had worked through it and stuff.
Totally. Well, you also gave a wild karaoke performance.
That's got to be. We have a question. It's like, what do you wish made the show that didn't make it? And that's got to be on there.
1,000%. When we went out the night in Nashville, there was a whole segment where there was a live band, and the producers came up and said, would anyone want to sing something? And me and Seven and Frost were like, yeah, we'll sing something. I was thinking it was going to be sort of like a Diana Ross and the Supremes moment where we'd all be on stage. I'd obviously be Diana, but we'd all be on stage and we'd be singing a song together. So I'm like, yeah, let's sing a song. We all threw out a couple songs. The producers walked away. 5 seconds later, because you know how it is. They're all communicating on the headsets and all that, which was so jarring to feel myself being produced in that way.
Right.
That was so crazy to experience.
Yeah.
But you literally 10 seconds later from the stage, can Jay Hart come up on the stage? And I was like, oh my God. And so I looked at Frost and I was like, okay, well, I guess, sure, let's go.
Yeah.
So I went up and
they're casting you in real time for the karaoke performance.
Yes.
Wow.
Well,
I didn't
that was
know
the thing. I had no idea. And I think so many of the ways that they produce these shows is they want to get your reaction in the moment when something happens. And so they want to set it up that way so that you're reacting authentically to surprises and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So you know all about that.
I know all about that.
And I know all about that. But I killed it. And there was a whole thing that happened afterwards where they couldn't clear the song. I sang Don't Stop Believing by Journey. And I literally had to write Steve Perry, the lead singer of Journey, a handwritten letter that said, and this was months after they started editing.
Right.
Yeah.
That said, hey, I'm doing this show. I love your catalog. I'm a big fan of your music. Please, it would mean a lot to me if you could clear the song. And I know you don't typically clear these types of uses for the song, but they'll show you the scene. Just know that I'm a big fan and it means a lot to me. And I really care about the future of songwriting and all these things.
Right. Yeah.
And so he cleared it.
Oh,
He cleared the song.
Wait.
Yeah, I know. I didn't tell you this, right?
I haven't heard this whole story. This is crazy.
Yeah. So he cleared the song. I got a nice email back from his manager that was just like, Steve really appreciated the handwritten letter.
Wow.
And which that alone gagged me.
For
I was
sure.
gagged
For
beyond
sure.
because I was like, he's just such an icon.
Yeah, of course. Wow.
And then basically I hit Netflix and was like, hey, we cleared it. And they were like, we're already too far down the road. We've already taken the scene out. we can't put the scene in. And I was really bummed about it, to be
Well,
honest.
you know what I'm hoping for is if we get a season 2, they'll have a good flashback.
Yes.
Maybe there'll be an
Yeah.
opportunity somehow
Yeah.
From the
Yes.
cutting room floor.
to use that.
We certainly made up for iconic moments, though. I feel like you really hit the ground running. You were super impressive in Nashville. Your songs were fire, along with everybody else's. I think it's the feedback that I think we're all getting is that Nashville was like a little extra lit for all of us.
It was
and we were
lit.
just
It's
dialed.
in a good pocket of, I think, like how the tired and excitement levels were like
Yeah.
adjusted correctly there.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I maybe lean a little bit more into the question of, is there anything that, or I guess anything else that you wish made the show and didn't make the show? Is there anything you would take out from what you saw?
There's nothing I personally would take out from the experience. In an ideal world, I would have remembered the concept that we came up with that together, obviously, but it was a really important teachable moment and it was a great plot point. And I'm glad that, you know, any sort of like drama I had wasn't something set up and was very organic and was like a real thing that actually happens in writing rooms.
Yeah.
And so I would say there was a lot that I said in confessionals about, I mean, like songwriting and why it's so important to me
Right.
and like the struggles that we're facing as songwriters, things like that. So I would say that in my ideal version of the show, I would have gotten to say a little more about like
Right.
songwriting and like the things that matter to me and sort of part of my motivation for doing the show. But obviously I know that it's 30-minute episodes and
Right.
they can't say all the
Sure.
things we want to say.
Well, we'd love to give you a little floor here if there's anything specifically you'd like to speak on.
Well, I mean, I think that I'm really passionate about fair pay for songwriters in the streaming age. We're really fighting for our pay. And I think that like one thing that the show showcased a little bit, but didn't really showcase in the way that is real is just how hard it is to earn a living wage as a songwriter today. And if you're just a songwriter, if you're not an artist, if you're not making touring income, I mean, it's hard for low-level artists as well, but as a songwriter, it's so important for our ecosystem to be spotlighted because people don't understand that not every songwriter is also, you know, Taylor Swift or something where they're a touring artist and making all these different streams of income. Some of us just have publishing, just have that one, just writing is like all they do. Some people aren't producers as well, so they don't have that as well. I think that would be my main thing that I want to say is like, I hope that people took away from the show that there is an ecosystem that exists, but I really want to stress the importance of like visibility and pushing the conversation forward in terms of paying people fairly and creative ownership in the face of AI as well. And sort of like why it's important for some of these training modules that are happening to train AI to be cataloged fairly so that if they're training AI off of a song that I or you wrote, that we get a little bit of kickback from that source material.
There's just like no middle class of songwriters anymore.
No.
And I think if you think about economies, you know, historically and in the world, the one way you know an economy is healthy is a healthy middle class.
Yes.
And if you look at our system right now, there is no middle class. So that should tell you it is not a healthy economy right now. So
it's not.
yeah, that is something that I was also passionate coming onto the show. Like, okay, we can raise some awareness and visibility and just hopefully get these conversations moving in a positive direction for our industry.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm really thankful that there's like a new class of artists that are also writers like Ray and people like that are speaking up for writers specifically.
Yes.
But yeah, it's interesting. I definitely have like seen a couple comments that are, you know, oh, you know, I'm not sure that this is showing songwriters in the best light. And my response to that is, we didn't have a light. There was no light. This is a light. And any effort in that regard is a net win because it's like I've had people call me like, I didn't even know that, you know, this is how it worked and that people wrote these songs for people and that you made money in this way and this is how you collaborated. So I'm like, that's the point. That's why this platform's important, is that people are familiarizing themselves with the idea that this exists.
Yeah.
Sure.
That
And
there are people that do this.
I think it's completely fair that not everybody would represent themselves the same way, like in the light. You know what I mean? Like not every songwriter has the same route. So like, but I think one thing that all songwriters have in common, all artists have in common, is that we all put ourselves out there in one way or another, whether it's releasing your own music, performing, doing advocacy work, going on a TV show. And I think that vulnerability for us to try to receive visibility for our community should be respected either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. So I know that a lot of people probably tuning into this and seeing both of us on here, if you just watch the show, you might, and I've had people ask me this, and I know even the show asked us this, like, would you ever work with Jay Hart again?
I need to get my fan out
The
for this.
duo is getting hot.
So I feel like we gotta
dive
turn
in.
up the heat a little bit here.
We got to dive in.
We gotta dive in a little bit more because I know people are gonna want to be.
I have some questions
Hearing about
myself from being
this.
in your initial session too.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I'll let you guys kind of lead. Do you have anything you want to lead in with?
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to Whit a little bit about it yesterday, and I guess the context is so funny that you and I are actually good friends and frequent collaborators. And part of the whole reason a lot of that came out like it was is because of that.
Right.
I was like,
you felt comfortable.
I'm so comfortable with you.
Yeah.
I would just say things
Yeah.
super honestly and upfront.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Another thing that didn't make the show was that I actually texted you during the song,
You did.
and I was trying to kind of more subtly get your attention. And then when the song ended, you knew I was motioning to you, and you said, What are you trying to say to me?
Yep.
And then the show, somehow I was thinking about this. They edited me saying, "Yo, Jay Hart," which I've never said in my life. I don't know where they got that audio clip.
It might have been Steven.
But it's like,
Maybe.
"Yo, Jay Hart." Remember that was our idea? I was like,
Yep.
that's not my voice saying
Right.
that. It was definitely a
And
case of.
Steven egged you on, to be fair.
He did egg me
too.
on, yeah. So,
Yeah, we did see the provocation.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, well, no tea, no shade, but taking advice from Steven is a double-edged sword,
You know, it's funny because I really, when that moment happened, there's no doubt it was awkward. It was like, how do you respond to this,
Yeah.
period? How do you respond to this on camera? Like,
Yes.
and so I think for me, I was like, it's a hit and we're all good. But it's, like,
funny. I
everyone's
watched
just-
you. You're like peacemaking, and it's funny. I told Whit this yesterday, and I guess in hindsight, watching it, I honestly expected you to go, "Oh yeah, I remember that," and I would be like, "Oh yeah, cool, no worries." Obviously, still not the right time to bring it up.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when you responded, I got defensive, and then when I responded, you got defensive, and then we ended up having this like weird, awkward moment.
Well, I was just hyper aware of the cameras.
100%.
And so my whole thing was, let me not speak before I think.
Yeah.
And I, at that point, had already clocked that was indeed true, what you were texting me. And you also had texted me afterwards and said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry for doing it that way."
Literally, as we're still sitting there.
Yes.
Yeah, the secret
And-
texting we also learned about when we were speaking to Ben. Like,
Yeah.
he was trying to give you a heads up
Yes.
on all of this, but
Yes.
you didn't have your phone or you
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
also wasn't
I think you
really
were
fully
dancing.
catching on to what was like I
Sure.
got it right at the end before you said something. But then but it's hard again because I'm aware that I'm being filmed. So not wanting to react in any kind of way and like just be in the moment, So yeah, it's just so interesting how it all shook out. And then when it happened, I was like, for fuck's sake, like now they're gonna make a moment out of it.
Oh.
Now we have to do a whole fucking dog and pony show.
No one knows this either, but I literally, Lauren, my wife, is over here, and I had called her. This is a lesson, kids. Don't ever say things like this. I called her right before the scene, and I said, "We're almost done filming, and you won't believe it. I have had no drama."
Amazing.
Yeah, the pop god said,
And then,
not today.
Yes,
Yeah.
the done and done God said,
Yeah.
"Yes,
Cabo,
you do."
we really like got aligned with some like higher power in Cabo. It must have been those earthquakes that we had when we first got there, but
Oh, I
it
forgot about
started
that.
to just, I don't know, everything started to align in a way.
Unfortunate and fortunate in that I'm glad that moment happened with you because I think that because we knew each other, we like did a really good job of showing how conflict can be resolved in this. And we had this cheers where we would cheers to like new industry that they cut from the show.
Right.
But I do think like it's important to be an example of what it can look like for two people that are, well put together and can speak from the heart and really resolve things without it turning into this big thing that doesn't need to happen. So
Absolutely.
in my head, when I was thinking back on it, I thought that conversation happened at Jenna's house when we were upstairs in the studio upstairs.
Wow.
And the way I remembered it in my head, it was like I was sitting on the beanbag and someone said something and then I
know
said,
what?
can't relate. That's what I thought happened.
That's a different idea. that I have on my phone that we'll have to write another day.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I'll tell you
See,
off camera.
but that's what I'm saying. It's like I knew that my memory
But
wasn't.
that did happen. You were actually right. We
Yes.
did have a concept there as well.
But I know
Yeah.
how memory can be, and
Yeah.
I know that I wasn't 100% sure in the moment whether or not I said it, because you were like, roll the tapes, it happened. And so I was like, well, okay, I think I said it, but I also don't remember the context or when it happened.
Sure.
I knew it was a brief moment.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
It was very fast.
I just was thinking like, okay, how do I resolve this in a way that I don't know how they're going to edit it.
Sure.
I don't know exactly what happened in the moment. My only
And we
sort
should
of
say they won't show it to us.
right.
And a lot of people have said, well, once they saw it, it's like, no, we weren't allowed to
No,
see
no,
it
no.
until the show came out.
Yeah,
you
they
guys are
wouldn't
just
see the
speculating.
We're
footage.
speculating. I
Yes.
wasn't even 100%. I was like, maybe I'm tripping. You know, like
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
really knows. There's so many. I have other questions I wanted to ask you and songs talk about 8 letters. I love that song. I wanted to talk about that.
Thanks.
But look, we're gonna play a game now where
Okay.
we're gonna give you 5 songs and you have to blind rank them.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't know what's coming next. We're gonna start with "Good Things Fall Apart" by John Bellion and Millennium.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
I still can't even say that.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 1 through 5.
Okay. Ooh, that's really hard.
Do it.
Oh my God. I feel like maybe that should be 1.
Okay.
No, I feel like I've
Ooh.
fucked myself now, but I'm gonna say that's 1.
All right,
It's
1.
gotta be
All right,
1.
right off the gate. All right, "Father Son" by yourself, Jay Hart.
Damn. Yeah, I love that song. That's such a special song. 3.
3 is nice and safe, right in the middle.
Yep.
Let's go with "Wasted Time," Keith Urban.
Oh, I can't change the order now, can I?
No, you can't. Sorry, that's the rules of the
Fuck.
game. Whitney made them up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 4.
4, okay.
4.
And then we have "DJ Play a Christmas Song" by Cher.
Period. Shout out to Cher. Damn, I don't want to put that in 5, but I feel like 5.
Okay, and then last but not least, "Company" by Justin Bieber.
2.
Okay, that's actually
special.
I
that's a
can
great
stand
ranking.
behind that.
You can stand behind that.
I can
okay.
stand behind
Our
that.
last game we play real quick is we go through the cast and you're going to give a 1-word adjective description of each name.
Period.
Okay.
Okay.
7.
Introspective chatterbox.
Yes, you're the first person who's mentioned her love of talking, and I'm glad you did.
My girl can talk up a storm,
Well, she'll
which
be here
honestly I love. I'm a chatty Cathy as well, so I love. We could just do this all day, me and her. But yeah, she's an introspective chatterbox.
Yeah.
and I say introspective because she's quite spiritual, and yeah, she's a sweet angel.
Trey.
Angel. He's just. I was gonna say heart, but because I do think he's like the heart of the show. But he's just an angel. I
Yeah.
love Trey.
Jenna.
Iconography.
Oh,
I like it.
amazing.
She killed it, you know? She's
Yeah.
so funny and she is just hilarious. I mean, so many moments that she had in the show, like the moment where she was talking and they edited. I mean, like there's so many funny moments with her where I called her afterwards and I was like, I know that there's things that you have notes that you have on your edit, but just as someone who enjoys television, you're so good for this format and you're so funny,
Agreed.
Genuinely.
Oh my
Agreed.
God. The weave was amazing.
Incredible.
That was so fun. Stu Steven.
Beautiful gowns. No, I would say controversial,
Chi.
confident, talent.
Tommy.
Well, I've been calling him Ariana Grenade because he just throws in a grenade and then walks away. So I'm going to say Ariana Grenade and I'm going to lock that
I
in.
love it.
It's incredible. Harv.
Cool.
Yeah.
Harv is just, he's like a mover and a shaker, He like when he talks with authority, I would say he's cool.
Blue.
Just a wealth of talent.
Faraz.
Cunty artistry is what I'm going to say. Because I think Faraz is so more 3-dimensional than I think he got able to show. I mean, he wasn't on the show, but only for 2 episodes. Also, cunty in our world, in the gay world, is a compliment, I should say.
Yeah.
A lot of people know that. But yeah, no, Faraz he's a real beautiful creative artist. He's a real artist. He's so talented at piano. He can sing his ass off. He's cunty artistry. That's my girl.
Yeah, he's a real experience,
I'm
I
sticking
say.
by that.
Whitney.
I'm going to say bombshell.
Oh.
Ooh.
Just because I think like when I was watching the show, I was like, damn, like not only are you so good for the medium, like you just fit I think you came off like you're a bombshell. You were like in there. like swimwear, Jenna's concept for Usher.
Yeah. Ben.
I would say authentic. Because I think you, even from episode 1, like you were just yourself and really organic in the way that I think that as I noticed it in episode 1, how ready you were for, I don't know why I said it like that. Ready. I noticed how ready you were to write. And like you were very like throwing out ideas. And I definitely noticed like a lot of people adjusting to the cameras, but I felt like you were there.
Yeah.
You were very authentic from day one.
I appreciate that.
Amazing.
Is that everybody?
That's everybody.
All right.
Hell yeah.
That's everybody.
Thank you, Jay Hart, so much for coming on our humble podcast.
Yeah.
Snaps.
And snaps. They wouldn't let us clap on the show, so we got used to snapping.
Okay.
We had to
That's right.
snap.
But thank you so much for being on here. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
You're
And
the best.
shout out to Cherry Coke Zero and Chipotle.
And Chipotle.
Yes, and
Thank you so
Chipotle.
much.
All right.